brand offers. We've asked them whether they would actually change their behaviour as a result of authenticity. Now let's flip it around and say, what about inauthentic behaviours? What happens when companies do conceal, when they hide, when they're not transparent, when they're not honest, when they're not being truthful? What really makes consumers, as citizens, really unhappy and turn off companies? The top answer is, again, it's a universal thing these days. It's anything to do with food. Anything to do with food. So producing, concealing information about what's in the product, anything to do with how the product gets from the consumer, from the production to the consumer, anything about the way that it's produced. If you're a company and you conceal, hide, distort information about that, you're going to be in trouble. And in some parts of the world, it is really, really acute. So when I was in China, they've had so many food scandals there, it's unbelievable. I mean, just to give you an example, one of their food companies was discovered, we thought we had a problem here in Europe with beef being sold when it was actually horse meat. In China, they had beef being sold and it was actually rat meat. So you see, this is really a much bigger problem there than it is even here. And the Chinese are really unhappy about these food. They've really, really understood that this is a big problem. They don't trust their food manufacturers. They do not trust their food manufacturers to give them what they say they're going to give them. But it's also true here in Europe. If you look at the responses from Europe, all the European countries are very nervous and very worried that when they get some products, food products, whether it's from the supermarket or whatever, that they're unsure that it is what it says it is. Now, if you go back, if you're old enough and you go back 20, 30 years, did anyone ever worry about what they were buying from the supermarket, that they thought, what is it? Is this really beef? Is it horse? Is it a mouse? What is it? Nobody ever thought that, right? Nobody ever considered that idea. Why? Because we didn't have the information. We didn't have food bloggers. We didn't have people going into stores saying, look at this terrible thing. We didn't have all the information that we have now about the way the food is produced. We want to know so much more about it. And this is an example of that, yes sir, yeah.
Isn't it also true that, let's say, 20, 30 years ago, there was less globalization, everything was much closer to the community, there was much more trust between supplier and customer.
Yes.
That has been fading away with all these global companies and try to get most out of as little as possible.
I think that's absolutely true. And there's only a few companies that have, some companies have understood that. So maybe it's true here in Spain, but there is one of the supermarkets in the UK, Sainsbury's. When you buy a box of eggs from there, they have on the side of the box it says, these eggs came from this farm in Devon, and the farmer's name was Mr. Smith, and so they understand that people want to know where the food comes from, how it was produced, and how it got to the supermarket, and that's really important to people. But not everyone understands that. Our advisor at London Business School believes that food companies, food manufacturers, grocery stores need to completely reinvent the way that they talk about food to the consumer. And it's all about provenance, as we say. It's all about where the food comes from, how it gets to you. And you've got to put much more emphasis into that subject, because people are just not believing anymore that if they buy something that it is what it says it is. But yes, I think it's a great point. The second idea that really is much bigger now is, I think this is really interesting, is data privacy. So we showed from our study last year that there was a concern about data privacy in the UK, US and China. For the comparative figures for those countries which we have the data, there's a big jump in people's concern about data privacy. Big jump. In the US and in China particularly. And why is that? Well, I think people have noticed the whole ideas of Edward Snowden in the US. I think they understand that their information is being sold in some way when they're on the internet, when they're on their mobile phones. It's being monitored by companies, it's being monitored by the government, and people are very uncomfortable about this idea. In China, again, I discovered there's no such thing as permission-based marketing. So people use their mobile phones, go on different websites, and then all of a sudden they get a call from some strange firm to try and sell them something. They never heard of this firm before, but somehow people are mining their data when they're using the mobile phone and calling them directly to try and sell them things. So people are really annoyed with this idea. Our view is that technology companies have really not understood this problem. They do not understand that people are uncomfortable with the idea of their data being sold when they're on the internet, when they're on their mobile phones. Some major figures in the technology industry are starting to talk about it. So there's a guy called Peter Thiel, who was one of the original founders in Facebook. He gave an interview to the Financial Times about a month ago, and he said the technology industry does not understand how much of a problem this privacy issue is going to become, and we need to understand it and do something about it, or it's going to result in legislation, perhaps from the EU, or consumers are just going to turn away from us because they don't like this idea. Have you ever tried to read the privacy policies of Facebook or Google? Have you? I've tried. I've absolutely no idea what they're saying. I've absolutely no idea what it is that they're telling me. And I don't think I'm that stupid a person, right? So, I mean, what is going on here? They're trying to conceal the truth about that. And I don't think they can continue. So, some interesting findings from this study. There's a quote from our professor. These feelings of extreme anger can partly be explained by what we call the proximity effect. People tend to feel strongest about the issues that touch them directly, and food is a clear-cut example about this. This idea of proximity, I think, is important when it comes to authenticity. So then which countries are the angriest countries in the world? There's a clear winner. Italy is the angriest country in the world by, this shows you, because they go further. Italy is just angry about everything. They're angry about food. They're angry about customer service. They're angry about hidden charges. They're angry about unsafe. They're just angry about everything. The least angry country is Indonesia. Look how Indonesia is hardly angry about anything at all, which is such a striking finding. I can give you a theory about that if you're interested. But if we look at the European countries, Spain is a little bit behind Italy in terms of the anger meter. So the key topics that we talked about, 69% of people were angry about the idea of data privacy. Sorry, wrong one. 51% of people were angry about the idea of 68% of people were worried about data privacy, and 85% of people were angry about food. So those were the two leading answers. Okay. Now, this one is again a cause for concern. So we've said to people so far, you told us that you value authenticity, you've told us you would change your behaviour because of authenticity, you've told us what inauthentic behaviours make you unhappy. Do you think big companies are being authentic? Do you think big companies are being honest and transparent? And unfortunately, hardly anybody, particularly here in Europe, does believe it. So look at this. In Germany, 1% of people think that big business is being honest and transparent. 1%. 99% of people in Germany think that big companies are basically lying to them all the time. In France, they're twice as optimistic. So they go up to a massive 2% of people believe that companies are being honest. And here in Spain, it's only 3%, same as in the UK and in Sweden, Italy, even the US. Look at that figure for the US. I think if you took that figure, again, this is a post-2008 idea. If you'd taken this study before 2008, I think you would have had a very different answer. Now, is this, and then just to finish off, the countries in the East and the fast growth countries are a little bit more optimistic, but it's still not that much. I mean, Hong Kong is only 8, China 15, you know, it's not really a good answer for any country. So what does this mean? Is this a cause for concern? Is this something companies should take seriously? I think it is. I think, you know, if you're saying that basically 99, 98, 97% of people are not going to believe you most of the time, that means you've got to change your strategy. That is not a good. That's not something you can just dismiss and say, oh well, you know, they would say that. I think this is a major, major problem for brands. They've got to work much, much harder to be believed. Does anyone